the National Organisation for Irish Medium Education. So this is a very general presentation on how to best to prepare for the Gaelscoil this September. So our presenter tonight is Tim Ó Tuachaigh, and he is the principal in Gaelscoil on Bradan Fassa, just outside of Drogheda. And this is Tim's third Gaelscoil now that he'll be principal in, and he has over 30 years experience in as a principal in primary school, with 17 years of those welcoming Naíonáin Bheaga into the schools. So he's lots of experience in and around the immersion education system, and particularly in early intervention at junior level and how to effectively manage that within the school. He's a chairperson of a preschool in central Dublin, and previously was a chairperson of the founding committee for Closh Gore and Mara, where he also chaired the board of management there for some time. He's an active board member of Ireland's largest patron body for Gaelscoil and First Pátraíochta. So I'm really looking forward to the presentation that Tim will deliver for us tonight. And again, we'll just hold on to the last 5 or 10 minutes for any questions from the floor. But he has included lots of the questions that came from the registration form from you all. So thank you very much for putting those questions forward. And they should be mentioned in and throughout his information in this presentation. So I think I've got everything covered. This will be recorded once again, so it'll be on YouTube, and I will share the recording for that in the coming days. So I think that's all from me. Gur míle maith agat fad. So over to you, Tim, whenever you're ready.
Thanks very much, Katie. Gur míle maith agat. I'm just saying, after that introduction, I'm dying to meet this Tim fella. This will be good. So what I have for you tonight is what Katie said there. I'm teaching since 1992. This is my third school as principal, third Gaelscoil as principal. So I've been doing this for a little while, and as one fellow said to me, "'Tis nearly time you started getting it right. You keep changing schools." So this is something that I'm used to doing, and kind of a talk that I'm used to having. But that said, I still went out when I was preparing for this evening, and I actually ended up talking to 8 schools, Gaelscoil, 6 Gaelscoil, and 2 schools in the Gaeloideachas, just to see that what we are doing is similar to what is done in other schools. So what I'm talking about tonight is a flavour from my own school, but also other schools. So when I say something here tonight, it doesn't definitely mean that that's definitely going to happen into the school of your choice, wherever you are in the country. This is just giving you a flavour of what you can expect. And what I'm going to say here tonight is fairly common to all of the schools. So as Katie said there, I've seen some of the questions that were coming in during the week. I've kind of built information into the presentation as I went to try and deal with the questions as I go, but no problem, I can take questions at the end of it. So you can see there, the first screen there is like Ullmhú and Scoil 25. That's the name of this talk this evening. And as we all know, everybody's heading for big school. So that's what's going on here. We're all about going to big school and what is going to happen. So I've set this up this way to look at on sales of Gaelscoil, and I've kind of broken it down into a few sections for you here this evening, with preparing for it, actually beginning on the day, what you'll be dealing on an ongoing basis, and a create new up in the school. Lots of what I'm talking about this evening, you could apply in general to all primary schools. However, as you know, Gaelscoil have an added flavour elements to them, so that will, I'll be zeroing in on that as we go through the evening as well. This one first here, if it's a thing that you weren't 100% decided on going to Gaelscoil, if you go to some of these resources on screen here, you will be able to see about the transfer from preschools to primary school. As Katie mentioned, I'm also chair on a preschool in North Inner City Dublin, St. Bridget's on Mount Square, and I've been there for a good few years, so I'm relatively aware, without knowing the ins and outs of every single detail, I'm relatively aware of what goes on in the preschool setting as well, and I have an idea about the transfer over from the preschool side of things as well as the primary school side, where we welcome people in. So just on screen here, you'll see there's about 5 or 6 logos there, and I'll just fly through them so you know. And I put all of these are live, so when this is all over, Katie's going to share the slides with you, and there's links on each of these icons here to bring you to the pages where I think you might get information that will help you as regards your child going to school. So the NCCA is the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. They have documentation about the transition to school. The NPC are another group there, the National Parents Council, and they are they're set up to be a support body for parents. And they also have information about the transition to school from preschool to primary school there. The same is true for Early Childhood Ireland. They also have information and a section dealing with the transfer from preschool to primary school. And the bottom line there you see on that screen is there the Economic and Social Research Institute, the ESRI. They actually did a longitudinal study of young, I think it began from birth, and children that they began and practiced them from preschool into primary school into secondary school and carrying on. So the link that's at that page there actually talks about the pupils, the young children at that point who were coming from and the transition from preschool into primary school, and that tracks their thing. We know not every child goes to a preschool. We know that there are children who are at home with their parents or with relatives or with a minder. We know that's the situation. We know all this in primary school. And that's I'll be leading into that in a while, but we know not every child will transfer in from a preschool or a nursery. We know that they come from creches. So that's something we are aware of. The two other links there on that page are Gaeloideachas. That's who we're here with tonight. Now you'll see my head turn and maybe like to write after that because I'm working off 3 screens here, so excuse me for that. But what the top right icon there is Gaeloideachas. That's who we're with tonight, and they're who are having the presentation for us tonight, hosting the presentation for us tonight. And what education through Irish, and they do it at all 3, all primary, secondary, and they have a toe in the water kind of for 3rd level stuff. And then the last one that's in the middle there is on first person. So as Katie said there, that's the largest patron body for Irish medium schools in the country. So they, I think they're in existence 25 years at this stage, and there's around about, I think it's the 100 mark entirely for between primary and secondary schools that is under the patronage of First Fraternity. So those are all, like I say, they're all linked. I just see those there's breaking up, so I think possibly that might be my Wi-Fi. I'll see if I can do something about it as we go. But they, at those, it's all linked to the different sites, and you'll be able to see what those people have to give, kind of mostly around research and information and advice. So those people there, they will be help as regards advice. That's where you can go if you want to get information, kind of for in advance of going to school. So that's preparing yourselves and the house for it. This one here is actually the practically speaking what to be doing as you get to the day that it's working. Let's see, it's working now. Sorry, I'm reading as I'm talking. This is for actually getting ready for going to school, what to do for it. So really and truly, you do not need to do too much. It's fairly basic, the things that you need to do now. Ruddy on Banusik, I'm sure the So the biggest rud that you need to try and get ready for for your children going into the school is independence. And the few things that I've listed here, there's a quota that they're able to put on their own coat to take it off and they can hang it up. The busk alone, now sometimes you'll want to, again, this is different schools will have different practices. With the busk alone, sometimes they'll have a small break and a big break, and at the small break, it might be give them a small busk alone and a big break to give them a bigger busk alone, and that way everyone can work out a loan bheag loan more, and they'll know to take out the busk bheag for the loan bheag. It works. Now, what's happening an awful lot now in most of the schools in the country is we're moving into hot lunches for loan more. And with that, then the need may not be as great to have so much in a lunchbox for your child. But again, this is all school dependent. Not all schools have hot lunches yet. Not all schools will do hot lunches. Some will do cold lunches. But this is something that's coming down the track. I think it'll be going into every school in the country that there will be lunches provided into the schools. So your own school will be able to tell you that. The letter stems just to make sure that your child is comfortable going to the letters on their own. the teacher won't be able to accompany anybody into the letters. So this is something that they can go to the letters, do what they need to do in the letters, and on the way out, then leanbh a glanna. That would be very important. It would also be important that they can clean their hands during the day, because you'll often find times that they're doing, say, painting, and they'll be using paint on their hands. So they'll need to be able to sort themselves out. This is what I'm saying. These are fairly basic things. If you have a child who is availing of the school bus service that's run by Bus Éireann, you need to make them aware of that, show them the bus, show them who they will be talking, what might happen, what stop they get on, what stop they get off. Now, the companies are very good, and they'll be in control of all that. But the preparation there is for your child, to let them know, okay, this is what you're looking at down the road. This is what's coming at you. The leabhar, the school books. Schools at this stage are receiving a grant for buying the school books for the pupils. So there will probably be very little that you have to buy for your child. I'm actually not too sure what the current craze is now in junior infants for mála scoile or for pencils and all that. I forgot to look today to see. But you might think, okay, we've got the, I don't know, Dory pencil case. No one else will have the Dory pencil case. You'll be guaranteed. There'll be plenty of them there. So just be aware. You might think that you've got your child something nice that nobody else is going to have, but that it is liable to be that some other pupil in the class has it. So just be aware of that. The same with the mála scoile, same with the quota, which is why I have on the right-hand side of that screen with arrows pointing at it, Anam gach rud bio. Put your child's name on every single thing they own. If ever you hope to see the thing again that they brought to school, put their name on it. Otherwise, you may not see it again. You still may not see it again, even with their name on it, but it does give a fighting chance that we see the name on it. Especially September or this time of year, all of the jumpers come off in this kind of weather, and the jumpers go on a pile on the ground. And if their names aren't on them, it's very hard to distinguish. We have it every year that there's piles of Ganseys, and the one that always amazes me is that there's a pile of trousers there. So you're saying to yourself, well, that means there's some child gone home without their trousers today. So that's always a bit of a question mark for us. And the other one there, I skipped lightly over it in the list, was broga, just to make sure that your child can manage their own broga. Now, the advice, and I give this to everybody, is get shoes with Velcro. Don't bother with laces. Don't bother trying to teach them how to tie the lace. Get shoes with Velcro. It can happen occasionally that somebody may go into the loo with their laces open, and when they come back out of the loo, things didn't go according to plan in the loo, and they come out with what became known as toilet juice on their laces when they come out. So Leverdol, Velcro, that's the way to go. That's much happier scenario for everybody. And then in the green line at the bottom of that slide, this is one of the things that comes up a lot for people is, what does my child need to know in advance? Do they need to know letters? Do they need to know numbers? Should they know words? Should they be able to say, mi hálas anam dom? No. The answer to all of those questions is no. That's what they come to school for. They come to school to get all that information. So you do not need to prepare your child for any of that. So let them come. Don't worry about it. I know you mightn't feel too easy with me saying that, but let them come. Don't worry about it. The teacher in the class knows they will be getting children who will be of varying ages. There can be 18 months between children's age in a junior infants class. Varying levels of maturity, varying levels of language abilities, and various levels of languages even in the home. We do, and we have them here in this school, where we have one parent who is Irish, and another parent who we have parents here who are from Holland, France, Spain, Germany, Brazil, and those languages are spoken in the home as well as English spoken in the home, and there's probably no Irish spoken in the home, unless maybe if they have a sibling coming through the place already in the school. But for the child, a first child coming in, that can be a concern for people, how much Irish the parents have to help the child out. You don't need to worry. Honest to God, you do not need to worry about that. That is something that we are well aware of in schools. We know that everybody's different, and we know that everyone's scenario is different. So we pitch at a level We try and get everybody at the level. The people who are ahead of the level, they can be helped on, sprinkle and smolly enough, and then the Dini who might need a bit of a hand to come up to the level, they get the hand that they need. So we know this. So do you need to prepare them with anything? No, they don't. If you wanted something, if they could recognize their name in writing, that's about as much as I'd be worried about for now, to be honest with you. The reason I say that is when they pick up their buscalone, if their name is on their buscalone, well, they know. Or if they pick up their Ganzi, they know their name. That's why. And that's why we would, if they can know their name. But apart from that, you do not need to train your child up. They don't need songs. They don't need rhymes. They don't need anything like that. In they come in the door, fairly basic, ready to rock and roll. The best way that you can help your child is with the positive attitude towards school. We're going to big school. It's a great thing. It's fantastic. You're going to have great fun. You're going to meet loads of new people. You're going to meet boys and girls from different places. You're going to have a Múinteoir. Generally, you'll find in the schools, the teachers are known as Múinteoir, whatever. So this, for instance, we have Múinteoir Rory and Múinteoir Alicia in the junior infants. So generally in Gaelscoil, that's what it is. Now, again, I'm speaking in generalisms. It's not always like that, but usually you'll find in Gaelscoil it is. So going to school, if you have, say, nephews or nieces who are also going to school who aren't going to Gaelscoil, you might have that little concern in your head. Oh, but it's a Gaelscoil, tá sé different. How is it different? Well, this here is some of how it's different, and maybe this will address some concerns as well for people. It's Gaelscoil. It is a Gaelscoil. And the biggest difference is a Gaelscoil operates off Scoil. When the teachers sit in the staff room to have a cup of tea, it's off Scoil. When meetings are held after school, it's off Scoil. When the board of management sits, it's off everything is off Scoil. If the teacher walks along the corridor and meet the secretary talking to some other parties, maybe in wrong quick day, it's all off Scoil. Everything happens off Scoil in the Gaelscoil. And to enable the smaller pupils to be able to manage that, what we do is this thing called Ullmhú, which is immersion education. And that means for the first, and again, this varies from school to school, but an awful lot of schools are doing it at this stage, that is for the first 2 years, there is no Béarla. It's only Gaeilge that's done for the first 2 years of school. Some schools do it for a year, some schools do it for 18 months. The maximum schools are allowed to do it for is 2 years. Béarla must begin in Rangahain. But that, again, that will vary from school to school. So the big thing that you'll be able to see there for yourself is it's Gaeilge own Gaelic law. And that's how the teacher will operate. The pupils actually don't even realise it. They're sitting there, they're watching. It's like a pantomime sometimes, what the teacher does to get their meaning through. How will my child understand the teacher? The first question written there. The teacher needs to stand on their head to get the message through. They do it. It's done in a way that is, the lights have to go off here. It's done in a way that's understandable, to make it understandable for the kids. We know not everybody has Gaeilge, and we know that we'll have to explain it with gachi, actions, images, pictures, songs, pointing at things, posters on the wall, anything at all that we can use to get the message through. That's what we use. We don't have any Irish at home. How can we help out? You can help out by using whatever bit of Irish you have. I've more coming to on that in a while for the what for parents. But whatever bit of Irish you have, and you may have only the bit of Irish that you lost since you were in primary school yourself or secondary school yourself, whatever bit, if you can say Mála Scoile, if you can say Ganzi, if you can say Broga, put them into a sentence, and that's fine. And that's, you'll find that's how the children begin to express themselves with the language as well. They put individual words into a sentence structure. I can't find my Ganzi. And that's the way it begins. And then usually by the time Christmas comes around, you have full sentences being made at that stage. Homework, how will you help with the homework? So this is one of my favorite questions. Well, usually when it's down at the bottom end of the school, the junior end of the school, there's not much difficulty with the homework. It's fairly obvious what needs to be done. I have links coming up to show you places to go if you need to go and find the resources for yourself, support for yourself. Usually the school will let you know this is what we're doing, and this is what we're doing, this is what we're using to do that. And the school will often provide the links to you, and they provide that in different ways. Sometimes it'll be a hard copy, sometimes it's online. The worry then that people sometimes have is, yeah, but what when they get up to like Rangacug or Rangashay and they want to know about, say, the Vikings and what types of food they ate. So the children at that point, they'll be able to translate the Irish to English for you. And then if you say to them, oh, okay, well, what's in English? And they'll give it to you in English. And then the question is, well, how good is your Irish? The question is, well, what do you actually know about what food the Vikings ate? So, and when you help them to work out the answer, they'll be able to translate it back into Irish. At that point, they will have plenty of Irish to be able to do those translations. Round about second class, unless you use Irish fairly regularly, it's around about second class that your child will begin to pass you by with their Irish. When will my child be fluent? That kind of answers if you're there wrong at all. Most schools will have, the expectation will be there that the pupils in Rangahain will be talking Oscuega, that they would have no need to be kind to Osperla. And depending again on the school, on how big a class is, if there are multi-grade classes, all of these are different situations. And so there's no hard and fast rule about it. Some schools will have rules about it, that they'll expect only Irish to be spoken from whatever stage of school life is. But the idea is going to a Gaelscoil. Yes, well, we're all working at the same idea. What is a Gaelscoil? It's a school that operates Oscuega. So we're working to the idea of, yeah, well, we're operating Oscuega. And the pupils will be brought to that point. Around about second class, like I say, is where they might pass you by unless you use Irish fairly regularly. How will the system affect my child's English? It'll improve it. The answer to that is it'll improve it. Again, I have another slide coming up later in a while about that, and I'll show you some of the stats that have it. On that. Gaeloideachas have good information on that as well. If you want to look it up there, they tell us with the they have information there on how well the Tuachaigh system works and how after the 8 years in primary school, how at what levels the pupils come out. Generally, what we find is the pupils are ahead Oscuega and Osperla. So something to look forward to. Then this one here. What happens if my child has additional needs? Again, I have that more coming up that in a while. If your child has additional needs, they'll be catered for. That's basically it. The same as in any school, investigations happen to figure out, okay, what are the needs your child has? You might know what needs your child has. And that information you share with the school. And the more you share with the school, the better able they are to help. That's true of any school, Oscuega and Osperla. And just because a school is operating Oscuega does not mean that your child cannot or could not be supported in a Gaelscoil. They can. They can very ably be supported in Gaelscoil. There'll be zero problems with that. Any problem that might exist for a child with additional needs in a Gaelscoil will still exist for a child with additional needs in Scoil leanbh. Like I say, I'm third school, 17 years principal. I could tell you it's more than two hands worth of times where somebody has thought themselves, I don't know if the Gaelscoil is the right place for him. Listen, I'm just going to move him. And I talk to him and I tell him, look, this is the way it is. It's not going to disappear if you go down the road. And I talk to the principals of new schools that go to, and I say, look, this is who you're getting, and maybe this is the issues that they'll have, and maybe this is the help that you could try and give them. And there's one standing up in my mind, especially. The parent came back to me about 6 months later and said, Tim, you were right. He fooled us all, but you knew, you saw. Now, I'm not blowing my own trumpet there, but what I am saying to you is, if there's a problem that exists, it'll exist Osperla or Oscuega, but being in the Gaelscoil will not cause any problem to be any worse. What the research again has shown is, it's like the tide. When the tide rises, it raises all boats. So no matter who the child is, being in the Gaelscoil benefits them. There are all the studies that have been done, there have been no negatives, zero negatives being shown. Everything, Gaeilge has never been shown as a problem for a child attending a school with special needs. or even without special needs as well. This one here, be páirteach agus dearfach, be involved and be positive. Sometimes the best thing that you can do for your child is when they see you being positive about the school, when they see you being positive about Gaeilge. If you go up to the school and you talk to the teacher, or you talk to the príomhoide, or you talk to the Rooney, and you're having a couple of focal with them, and you're saying dígwit, and you're using the couple of focal that you have, your child sees that, and it actually I've seen it as on the teacher side of it. I've seen it, and I can see the face of the child as they look up at their mum or dad, and they're watching them speaking a couple of focal, and they realise, oh, my dad there, he has the couple of focal as Gaeilge, and he's talking to the Rooney. So it makes a huge difference to your child if you are using the couple of focal that you have as well. Junior infants really is the reception class. What happens there is there's no huge amount of subject matter to be covered for the year. That's on the second line. There will not be a huge emphasis on material to be learned. It's quite basic, the stuff that they learn. Ashter, the top line, it's learning through play. If your child is in a Naíonáin or a play school or a preschool, the chances are that they're using Ashter in there. It's learning through play. That's what they use, Ashter and Síolta. So if your child is in a preschool, the chances are you've tripped over this Ashter before. And that is used in the junior infants and senior infants classes, and to an extent first class, where there is learning through play. There are stations set up in the classroom for a grúigeara, a hairdresser, or if you can wish, or Scoil, or the hospital, and the pupils get a chance to be the doctor or grúigeara or whatever it is, and it's through play. They're given the language, they're given the vocab, and the idea is that they go and use it, and they learn through play. And it's been shown to be very, very successful, and it's a fantastic way for the language to spread, and for the children to get a firmer grasp on the language as well. So in junior infants, and this, by the way, this is true of all schools, Béarla, Gaeilge, mostly what's happening there is that the pupils are just getting used to the school system and school. You have to get up, you put on your uniform, you go to school, you do your hoibre, you go have your bit of loan, you go out and play, you come back for another bit of hoibre, another bit of a play, then another bit of hoibre, and sound it all you. And that's really what it's about. It's getting used to that school is a thing. That's what it is. And in this thing, this is what we do. That's basically what it is. And they get the chance by having Tuachaigh that it's all operating as Gaeilge. They get the chance then over the junior and senior infant years, those 2 years, to get the language established within themselves so that they're able to operate as Gaeilge when it gets up the wrong hand. There are while your child is in Tuachaigh, for however your particular school does it, they won't hear any Béarla anyway, but also just to remember, there are actually no Béarla lessons, no English lessons during that period of Tuachaigh. So sometimes people go, wait now, there's no English lesson. No, there isn't. Oh, will it leave them behind the black ball? No, it doesn't. I'll show you now in a few minutes again when we get up to the further slides. But that's what you're talking about. That's what you're looking at for the first, some schools 2 years, however long a school does the Tuachaigh for. This then is okay law, right? And this applies to practically all schools, okay? So at some point, the school will have a meeting with you. I've written it there, an information dump, whereby they tell you what's happening for your school. And these are some of the things that could be happening for your school. And these were some of the questions that people had as well. Your child is very liable to be on a shortened day for the first while in school. It could be just the first day. It could be just for part of a first week. It is not meant to go beyond 2 weeks. That's the maximum that the department wants schools doing it for. So, but again, every single school is different. So I can't tell you what the school you're going into is going to be like. But you could be looking at a shorter day. You'll also be told how to come to school and when to come to school, as in you walk in this gate, or you park over there, or you can't drive down there, or the bus Scoil will bring them here. All of those things will be discussed, or given the information will be given to you in some kind of a meeting. The procedure for bringing the pupils on day one, that will be it. So when they come up, like, are you allowed into the class with your child? Are you expected to bring your child into the class? All of those things will be made clear to you by the school in advance. there's no hard and fast rule about any of that. 8 schools, like I said, that I was talking about this, and each of the 8 schools had a slightly different variation on the theme. So the school will let you know what's happening with that. And for upset or crying, that can happen. And if it happens, put on your sunglasses and try and cover it up and don't let the child see you crying. Occasionally it can happen for the child too, that there might be a child who's upset or crying. And again, it's like I said, for the teachers knowing how to pitch the class lessons, the teachers also know how to deal with an upset child on the day. I've done it myself. It has happened where at 9:05 in the morning, we've sat down and opened the lunchbox and we had the lunch at 9:05 to calm everyone down and get everything going the right way. And it can happen. Generally, it doesn't happen that often. It can. And if it does, I know it can be upsetting for you as a parent, but don't worry about it as much as you can. Don't worry about it. The teachers know, and the teachers are used to dealing with it. What we find is, okay, the first day can be different, but sometimes after that, they can be upset on day 2, 3, or 4. And what we find is, generally, once we have the children into the class, you won't even have made it as far as the school gate, and the child will be settled and mucking in with the rest of them, doing what they're doing. So it can happen. It can be a little bit upsetting. Don't worry about it. Let it with the teachers. Yes, you can calm your child, talk to them, tell them to be back later, reassure them. I'll see you at the end of the day. I'll pick you up. I'm just going now, and I will be back at the end of the day. And once you have that done, there will become a point where you might say, okay, I'll have to go now, and you will need to go. You can't sit there for the day as much as you might like to paint with the finger paint. No, Tabrona, go back to your homework. Different schools, again, have a different thing for parents on the day. Some schools can have a cup on tea for parents. Some schools let parents go back to about their own business, doing their own work. Again, 8 schools, 8 very different practices. So your own school will let you know what they're doing as regards that. Same for pictures, same for videos. Your own school will have their own how we deal with that situation. So but again, they'll let you know what's happening in that regard. Now, the one thing I would say to you as well, this is very important for junior infants. When you're coming, if you are picking them up early, or if you are picking them up, on a shortened day, make sure if the day is finishing at 12 o'clock, make sure you're there at 5 to. Especially the junior infants can get quite upset if when they walk outside with their class, or whatever way the school does it. Sometimes you collect them from the class door, sometimes the class is brought out. Again, each school is different. But if a pupil realizes that everybody else has gone with their mum or dad, or whoever is collecting them, and they're left, they can be quite upset about that. So what I'd say to you is this: make sure that you're there in plenty of time of the day. Allow for the hiccup, allow for traffic, allow for a set of lights that wasn't there when you were dropping off. Give plenty of time and be there for them. The idea being that we don't want anyone upset. And if it is a thing that you're going to be late, give a shout out to the school. Let the secretary know, look, I'm meant to be there for 12 o'clock. I'm not going to make it. And what can happen then is the secretary will be able to tell the class teacher, and the class teacher can say, oh, Michal, yes, listen, your mum is coming, again, couple of no mate. Fan and shop, fan lum. You staying with me. And they'll explain to him that, yeah, Tamami exact, yeah, and go no mate, and go no mate. And it'll be okay. They'll work it out. But it's if you don't know, that you're kind of going, I'm not too sure what's happening here. So do let the school know. Some of these things are kind of like for Gaelscoil, no Scoil leanbh, but it is important, and it makes your life easier, and more especially your child's life easier in school. For the pickup, each school is different. Some schools are prefab, some schools are in a building. Some schools want the parents to come to the classroom door inside the building to take them up. Some schools want the parents to stay outside the school building, and the classes will be brought outside. Every single school is different, and the school will let you know what way they're doing it. Now, what can you be involved? In what way can you assist, or what way can you learn to benefit your child? Well, here's a couple of ideas for you here. Rangan Bheaga. So this came up a few times in the questions that came in during the week. Lots of people were asking about Rangan Bheaga. On the right-hand side there, the box there that says courses, Rangan Scoil. That's what I've written up the top, and it's the first sentence on that slide, actually. Very often, a school will run their own classes, Oscuega, but with one of the teachers in the school. That happens very often. Again, I'm saying it again, every school is in those last, you will not get the information or training to get a H1 in leaving Cert Irish. No. In there, you'll be hearing about a bus alone and the mall and the Ganzi and making sentences. It's going to be fairly basic, and the idea is that you have Irish that you can converse with your child about. How will the fall? It to the loan. It'll be obviously simply, the idea is that it gives you Irish, for conversational Irish really, to be able to converse with your child, to engage with your child about the things in the school. And we know, I said this, we know people have and don't have Irish. So whatever bit you have, use it. We're not asking for no school. And of all 8 schools, no school is looking for parents to be perfect. We will not be checking your tissue again. We'll be just delighted to hear the people of folk like Dr. Mon. So in that left-hand box there, there's a few sites there that schools use. Your school is liable to share these links with you when you're in there to use for Oberwalia or for support with things. So they're live, those links are live, so you can click on them yourself. I'm not going through them all. But the Mara Derfa and the Code Nagueg and the Shade on She, they are their material that's covered in school. So you could be looking at those for a good few years while you're in school. Irish for Parents is Irish for Parents. Arbor.ie is actually a good site if you want to go in there and you want to check a word you don't know how it's pronounced. You can type in the word, you can choose which area of the country you'd like to hear the content from, the accent from. Now today when I tried it, the buchel wasn't working, only the column was working. And you'll be able to hear the word roher said in Donegal, in Connemara, and in Kerry. So that's what it is. And the Chonglan.ie, that there is a kind of a dictionary type site, and there's a couple of links across the top of that to Terma and to folklore.ie. So some of these, you go into it, next thing you're down a rabbit hole, Oscuega. So make the tea before you go in there. And the courses then, these are places that offer classes. So like I said, your own school is liable to offer classes. Gael Culture, and they offer class levels for whatever level you like. Cnog, Conal Naguega, that is, and Gaeloideachas. Gaeloideachas is who we're here with tonight. Now, remember, you're not in school. You do not have to know everything. Your past year in school, they're the ones. They will benefit from you knowing a bit, but you don't worry about it. You do not have to know everything inside and out. This here is just as a support for you. Don't take this as homework. Don't go away and learn all these websites or anything like that. Okay, this is just you're liable to be seeing these, to be tripping over these as your child's in school. Your child will be using some of them in school as well. Which brings us to this, Scoil. So the first thing there, I've written up there, Commersad, Tábhachtach, the communication. Communication is vital. It's absolutely one of the most important aspects of school life. If something is happening in your life or at home or with you being late to pick up a child, let the school know. This is not just for Gaelscoil, this is for Gaelscoil Bio. Let the school know, because if somebody's goldfish passed away, you mightn't think it's too much, but actually in the mind of the child, it could be a big thing. And if we see a child off maybe for a day, we can understand, maybe this is the thing that has this child in this way. So the communication is absolutely important. If you're going to be late, if you're going on holidays, any of that kind of stuff, make sure you let the school know. Okay. And then I'm going to flip it around now, and the stuff on Scoil. So you see there, I have a few things from the school. And you have the refus, that's emails, texts in it, sometimes texts. The Sieve or app na Scoile. Schools have websites, some schools have an app. and the man associates that different schools use different Facebook, Instagram, X. Different schools use different things. No one, again, as I say, this is I'm trying to do a coverall here with this thing. Lots of schools do lots of different things, but those four there are generally used practically all schools. The one that's most liable to be received is emails, refust. Now, sometimes they can come through an app, and sometimes it comes directly into your inbox. If the school rings you, they're not ringing up for the chats. They're looking to talk to you for a reason. So if you see the school ringing you, if you can't answer it immediately, try and make space for yourself to be able to ring the school back fairly quickly. There probably is not a panic, but when the school rings, they're not ringing for the chats. They're ringing for a reason. So try and get after, if the schools look at you, do make it your business to get back to them as soon as you're able to do so. And these icons here on the right hand side, if you don't know them, if you don't have a child in school already, you are going to be tripping over these very shortly. If you thought between Instagram and TikTok and your email that you had quite a busy app life on your phone, get ready for it. An awful lot of schools, that one that's in the middle there is a one called Aladdin. An awful lot of schools use Aladdin as a means of connecting with parents. All kind of personal data for the child, name, address, phone number, parents, siblings, all that kind of stuff is managed through Aladdin. Another service that offers the same kind of deal is one called Database in the bottom right there. They do the same thing. So they're much of a muchness. Again, schools choose different ones. Bottom left hand side you see Class Dojo, and on the middle on the right hand side you see Seesaw. These are kind of more individualized into classrooms. Not all teachers use these, not all schools use these. But sometimes you will see this in a Class Dojo, and there'll be messages coming out through the Class Dojo to parents about something that happened in school, or Class Dojo and Seesaw are kind of used as a reward system in classrooms. The pupils earn points, and it results in whatever it results in, usually a prize of some form. The top one there, Office 365, is Microsoft, and the bottom one there is Google Classroom. Google Classroom nearly became a four-letter word when COVID was on. People were sick of the sight of Google Classroom, but it's actually a fantastic resource, and Microsoft 365 is along the same line. They're used in the school to keep in communication and oftentimes to share homework. That's what it's for. The one on the top right is WhatsApp. Sometimes schools run these, but most often I've found that the schools don't use them. And WhatsApp, really, if it's not a school-run thing, is to be taken with a pinch of salt. In the old days, you would see nodding heads along the fence outside. WhatsApp has replaced it. It can be quite poisonous in WhatsApp. So if you're joining a class WhatsApp, just be aware you might need to bring the popcorn with you while you're reading the messages in there. This is something else that I spoke to you about, is the blianta. These are just 4 companies that are providing it. Again, these all have an app that you'll need to put on your phone to choose the lunch for your child if that's happening in your school. Rates of discretion. Some of this I've spoken about already. Gaelscoil. So this is what Gaelscoil have and have not. Gaelscoil caters for all needs, the same as any other primary school. Gaelscoil have the same resources and they're allocated using the same criteria. Gaelscoil have pupils with a huge array of concerns, the same as any other school, and they have classes to support pupils with diagnosis of autism. Those are growing. For instance, now in the school I'm here in Drogheda, we have 2 ASD classes for pupils who have a diagnosis of autism. So there was a time maybe it was thought Gaelscoil weren't great for them. No, that's not accurate. They get on as well in Gaelscoil as anywhere else. Dyslexia. Sometimes people think dyslexia can be a reason not to Gaelscoil. No, there are people in the Gaeltacht who are born with dyslexia as well. So it's not a hindrance. It's no more of a hindrance than it will be in the Scoil Leanbh, put it that way. We have the same school pupil teacher ratio, and we have the same hours per subject to teach. So, and anyone who knows the song, anything you can do, that's it. Basically, anything they can do, the Scoil Leanbh, anything they can do, Gaelscoil can do better. Asquega. What will my child do all day? So this is just to give you an idea of what the timetable. I'm watching the time now. There's 2 minutes left, then I have to shut up. That's an idea of what a timetable could look like in a primary school, junior infants, senior infants class. What will my child do all day? And probably the most important part of that there is Naíonáin Bheaga. There are no English lessons. Anywhere there are no English lessons. Impact on Béarla is you can see this on Gaeloideachas website. This is where I robbed this from. The light's gone again here. What impact it has on Béarla. Basically, there's none, is the answer to it. And that whole, there's a wheel there that brings you through the different parts of what how it plays, how the Béarla plays and the literacy plays through primary school. That will bring you through it. And this is the last slide for you. And the most important point, it's the last point on that wheel, was a guy called Príomhoide O'Donoghue from Down in County Clare. He did research in 2007 that shows Winsheed leath deafingate brescia os cion na man náisiúnta amach. So when the standardized tests were done, these are kind of they do standardized tests each year, Drumcondras, English, Irish, or Maths, and or Micro and Sigma T, Danish Shin. And when the results were found, by the end of 6th class, it says there, Winsheed leath deafingate brescia os cion na man náisiúnta amach. So they achieved scores 10% higher than the national average. So by choosing a Gaelscoil, you're doing your child a favour. Underneath that there in green, it says your relationship with the Gaelscoil will last 8 years. So maintain positive relationships. It's benefit of your child or children. Sometimes, in any relationship you have in your life, things don't always go swimmingly well. Occasionally you will have the crossword. Occasionally there'll be the understanding. This will happen with a school as well. So the important thing there is don't lose the head about this in front of your child. Maintaining as positive an outlook on education in school as possible will give your child a better educational experience. We understand, schools know occasionally we do get it wrong, yes. We don't mean it, don't kill us. And just for yourself, so you know, pupils starting school this September. They'll be finishing primary school in 2034 after 8 years. They'll be finishing their whole entire schooling in 2040, that's 14 years. And if they do a 4-year degree, they're entering the workforce in 2044. So that people entering school this year are the 2044 college graduates. That's what we're talking about. And that's what schools are preparing for. It's not preparing for next year or 4 years. That is part of being ready for 2044. One thing that often happens is the last part there. One thing that often happens is, well, no, and I won't say if it has happened. A child is home, we're going to big school, and they get all dressed up, and the uniform is on, the bag is on the back, and off they go out to big school. And they go and they do it, and they had the day, and they talk about it, and they come home with their parents, and they talk about what happened, and then the child feels, that's it, I've it done. Don't have to go back again. So I did big school. Well, it's important to let them know, no, you'll have a few more days of this to go. So this is what I'm saying, come back for day 2. And that's what made it all come deep. So any Ceisteanna, I have 9 minutes left. Tabrónam, Katie, I ran over Tabrónam.
That was really brilliant. Thank you so much, Tim, for that. Lots of practical information there, lots of myth busters as well. I think you gave good insight into what immersion education is and the Ullmhú Bheaga, so that the first 2 years in a Gaelscoil generally are go homlan as Gaeilge, so it'd be only Irish, and then they begin on English later on. Those links in that presentation are live, so when I share that, you can actually go and do that bit of research yourselves and check out the organisations that Tim mentioned at the beginning, as well as the resources that he linked in towards the end. I'm going to share our website in the Pluska chat there. So anything that Tim mentioned, you will be able to find that on our website. And Tony, my colleague, also shared some really good resources throughout the chat, so it's definitely worth your while scrolling back up, and particularly down Cora. I know lots of questions came through on how you can improve your Irish as parents, and that's a small booklet that we created on exactly that. So you'd have the usual vocab that you need in a Gaelscoil, and it's nice and it's decorated and designed lovely, so you'll see that there when you open it, and that's available to order as a hard copy as well for free from our website. So again, I've just linked Gaeloideachas' website there. And again, just to clarify that Tim is speaking generally here, and he can give his own views on his own school. And again, he's so much experience working as a principal in a Gaelscoil. But do get in touch with your own school and ask the principal directly for any specific questions you may have. But it was brilliant that he consulted with 8 different schools. So hopefully we got a good picture there of what's coming up for you all in September 2025. So I'm going to stop talking now, and we've got about 7 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to write them in the Bosca Chora, so the chat box, or you can unmute yourselves and ask Tim directly.
So I think my mic is still live there. I see Laura has asked. I presume kids don't get in trouble for speaking English, but the first one where they're like, no, they don't, definitely not. There will be at some point, and again, every school is different, but at some point in their school life, they'll be told, hey, cop on, speak Oscuelga, you have plenty of it. So that will definitely happen. But no, when they're junior infants, no, that's no. Nobody is expecting anybody in junior infants to be leath for coming in the first day. There's something there about teacher shortages, and I see one for harder for Gaelscoil to find a sub. So yes, occasionally it can be harder for Gaelscoil to find a sub. When they're more off the beaten track. What we find is any school that's quite accessible has no trouble getting subs. But there is a teacher shortage issue, they say, between Dundalk and Wexford. Once you go over beyond that loan, it seems to clear up. There's plenty of teachers. But just along the eastern seaboard there, if you will, there can be difficulty getting Moontory. But one thing that's really helping in the Gaelscoil is that they've only started coming out in the last 2 years, I think it is there's a special course run Oscuelga in Marino. It's a teacher training college whereby they're putting student teachers through a totally Irish version of the education degree qualification. So those kids, for want of a better word, they go through and they're prepared and they're ready to go working in Gaelscoil or Scoil along Gaeilge sa Gaeltacht. So they're actually a fantastic thing. But they've only, I think the second year of those pupils came out this year. So they were kind of smaller numbers at the start, but the numbers are growing now. And it's not that it's going to solve all our problems, but that is definitely a big help.
Is there any other questions? Give it a few more seconds to see. If anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to unmute yourselves or write in the box the Bosca Chora engine. I don't see anything else coming through, so I think we're just about to finish before the 8 o'clock mark, which is great to see. Thank you so much to everyone who attended tonight. We had a really good attendance there in the end, so I really do hope that it was helpful and useful and that you feel a bit more at ease. As Tim said, use your cúpla focal, whatever that may be, over the summer months. And I think the most important message to take away tonight is just be positive. That's all you can do. It's a big move. Perhaps the first big step in their educational journey. So I think lots of nice bedtime chats and maybe leabhar na go Oscuelga, so 1 or 2 Irish books. Picture books, even with big, one words on the pages, would be great to introduce them to their literacy as they're joining the Gaelscoil. But there's no need to be worried about anything along the lines before they sets foot in Naíonáin Bheaga.
Yeah, absolutely. To throw out the odd word, like it's very easy to say Ganzi, it's very easy to say Roher, something like that. Throw those out, and they just hope there's a second language. But when you're teaching them, it's very funny to watch, because even what you'll find is sometimes kids put oil on the end of a word. I was agreed oil is what they start saying about things, and then they get a word Oscuelga and they learn brew, na big brew, don't be pushing, and the next thing you hear saying na big brew oil. They don't realize that brew is an Irish word, and they've turned it into Irish by putting oil on the end of it. So,
and that's part of the acquisition process as well. So don't be worried if they come home speaking half English, half Irish, and you're saying they can't speak English or Irish anymore. that's all
No.
part of the acquisition process. So don't be afraid of that within the first few years of a Gaelscoil as well. It all works itself out.
And
I just
it's
shared
fun.
the Den
Yeah.
Cora, sorry Tim, talking over
Yeah,
you. I
sorry, I
shared
was
the
just going,
Den
it's fun.
Cora
Watching
resource.
it is fun.
Yeah. I shared the Den Cora again, just Tim mentioned the Cúpla Focal again, just for anyone who might have missed that. So there's that resource again.
There's a case there. Cunnus
yeah.
is failing our good Gaeilge Yeusu mar Hishmahori Dar live. TG Carr and Gahamid Kanun to Fioka. You'll be lucky. In schools, what you'll find is there are lots of canons. In this school here, for instance, we have teachers from Munster, Connemara, and Ulster, and we also have local teachers. The canon sometimes with shade on she, the school will pick a particular canon of a book, but you don't know. You need to pick a canon. Your child in a Gaelscoil will generally be exposed to many different canons in the school.
Yeah. And again, yeah, you can listen to Radio na Gaeltachta, TG Cahir. Any background noise on Scoilga will definitely help you acquire a language naturally. So I'd definitely recommend that. And then, as Tim mentioned, all those Irish language courses, the school itself might have Irish language classes for parents in the evening. You could ask the principal about that. But all those live links will be in Tim's presentation. And of course, you know who we are as an organisation now, and that's our job to help you find the right resources and courses for parents as well. There's also an organisation, Glorn and Well, who help families who want to raise their children through Irish. So I can link them in tomorrow's email along with Tim's presentation. Okay, I think we'll close it up on that. Gur míle maith go bhar fád, we're just about at 8 o'clock ish. So be an taifeadse ar fáil go luath an teachn seo thuain agus be sé ar YouTube. So the recording will be available on YouTube, and I'll be sure to circulate that in the email. Slán Támal, gur míle maith go. Slán.
Slán.